All right. And lastly, but not leastly, I've got a couple things to show. Number one is our friend Nate Jones had a great reaction to a fail from Meta the other day. And this is primarily for those that are watching because his face during this is amazing. And I think really reflects probably what a lot of us would have felt in that stage. Also, any of us who have done live demos will feel some of the pain that's going on in this moment. Mason, I know you've done live demos before, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've done like a lot of live events. I've never done a tech demo, so not that specific pressure, but
okay,
various demonstrations of other kinds of things. This is about Meta's glasses, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm not sure if you've seen the video of that. He doesn't even show the video. I'm not sure if it's because of copyright reasons, but you can hear the awkwardness in just the audio.
I actually haven't seen the video. I saw just a picture of Zuckerberg wearing them with the pull quote that he was like, everyone will have to have these. And
it's worse because they fail this demo, one of the largest demos that you'll ever do in a year. Failed miserably from the stage. And of course, it's Mark Zuckerberg on the stage doing that, and he just has to live with it. And, not to overly criticize Mark Zuckerberg for failing on stage. I think we see every tech CEO that goes to do a live demo has this happen in their career every now and then. We've seen it with Bill Gates way back in the day with demos that didn't work. We have seen it not so much with Apple demos because they're always canned,
right.
which is smart. We've seen it with Elon Musk, having somebody throw the thing at the Cybertruck and crack the window.
It immediately breaks. Yeah. And I mean, it's not to criticize Mark Zuckerberg about this failing. There's just a lot to criticize there about Mark Zuckerberg broadly. So this is cathartic.
You don't feel bad for him at all, right?
Exactly.
It's a Schadenfreude type of thing.
Yeah.
And Meta has been so aggressive in trying to go after AI over the past few months. They've been like trying to poach from OpenAI and other companies that are really doing things like essentially offering, or in reality offering, like $1 billion pay package for one guy. Really try. And you gotta look at it. A couple of people did take the bait, and then they ended up leaving Meta and going back to OpenAI because it's so horrendous, and everybody there is like uber smart and is like an alpha, and you can't get a room full of people that are that smart and at the top of their game and have huge egos.
Yeah.
Together to work together.
Personality problem. Yeah.
There's a personality problem. There's also a culture problem with inside Meta. There's the fact that Zuckerberg is just getting worse and worse as he goes forward. And Meta is doing some very despicable things in business practices and what they're doing. Not to overly criticize Meta. I know that there are people there that are working, that are doing good things. And are so I don't want that I don't want the criticism to totally like ruin everything that some people are working on or doing, but leadership at the top has been just failing over and over and over again across both the technology that they're trying to implement and do things with, to like the judgment and the morality and the ethics of the company.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it.
Yeah. And if you're working at Meta,
I'm so sorry.
That's not a criticism of you. That is. I'm sure you're trying to do your best to bring a light into that environment and make a big difference. And sometimes people get to where they're working in companies that they don't fully agree with everything going on, and so not to bring too much there, but let's look and see.
Unless you're part of the problem, then come fight me. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? Yeah. Hashtag don't be part of the problem.
Yeah.
But
all right,
let's just look at his face and you'll hear the awkwardness of what's going on in the room.
So Meta introduced their new AI glasses, and it went well.
WhatsApp video call.
There we go. Uh-oh. Well, let's see what happened.
So they also have this little neural band that you put on your wrist to try to answer the call.
Maybe Boz can try calling me again.
So awkward.
Yeah.
Missed video call. Okay, there's the actual video call. All right, I'm just gonna pick that up with my neural band. This is,
Yeah, we do know. We do know. Things are going well over there at Meta, aren't they? They're going real well. There was also a demo where they asked the glasses to help make a steak sandwich, and the glasses got mixed up and announced that the steak sandwich was already mixed together with the ingredients, and you were all set to go. I'm not sure how you mix a sandwich together. It was a disaster. It was really bad. Look, I know it's hard to make technology. I know it's hard and scary to do live demos. Hats off to teams that are brave enough to do it. But we also get to chuckle a little bit when Meta does something like this, because they sure have spent a lot of money on AI, haven't they? Like a lot of money on AI. And this is what you get. So when people tell me that like the future is around,
I'm going to pause it there for a second. He has some commentary for about a minute that's worth listening to. So I'm going to just go ahead and let this play.
Sure.
On the corner, and that we are soon going to lose our jobs because of AI. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that it's not all perfect. In fact, most technology looks like this for a long time. Did you know that the number one measure of how successful and powerful AI is in the world is called METER. METER. And it measures the likelihood that an AI has a 50% chance of completing a task successfully.
All right. Yeah, I'll stop it there.
I did not know
because
that.
That's a critical remark, right? And and usually it's going, all right, if this task takes a human 2 hours, let's give the AI a time clock, and can it get that task successfully done within a reasonable time frame? And they give it a pass if it's 50%.
I had no idea.
If Bob in accounting was right 50% of the time, you would fire Bob in a heartbeat.
I didn't know the stakes were that low for METR, which I admittedly, I don't know anything really about METR. I'm not super plugged in on all the benchmarkings, but it's a 50% shot to pass. That's it?
Yeah. And very, very likely the stuff that you're seeing out in the world that's being productized is doing way better than that. But I think we have to keep in mind that, like, when somebody says AI, there's a broad spectrum of what AI is. And so you have to then narrow in and say, all right, what is the technology that's being used? What is the use case that's being used? Is it consistent, predictable, transparent, and explainable? And only when it's all of those things, when it's a narrow use case, it's well understood, it's consistently producing results, it's predictable, so you know where it's going to do well and also where it's not going to do well. It's transparent, so you can see how and why it's working, and it's explainable, that you can consistently explain the results that are there. Only when you have those things do you have something that should be productized at a reasonable level, or relied upon at a deep level. I want to go to one other thing real quick. In this, so I was at the Axios Plus AI Summit in DC yesterday. I'm still there. That's why I'm in a hotel room. But they had Dario Amodei and Jack Clark from Anthropic on the stage for about 25 minutes, and it was a really good discussion. But at the end of that, there were a couple of rapid fire questions. I'm going to let you hear two of those. One is a question about, like, what competitor is most likely to succeed, and then the other one is about P-Doom. And so this is interesting to listen to.
All right,
here we go.
Other than Anthropic, putting Anthropic to the side, of all your competitors, who's most likely to be one of the winners?
Google.
Google. Why?
They're a big company. They have a lot of compute. They were doing AI research pretty much before anyone else. They were behind the original deep learning revolution. I used to work there for a year. I have a lot of respect for the kind of stuff they've done around, for example, AlphaFold, and starting to make progress with their models. They're a big company, and they've often been held back by that, and in some ways continue to be held back by that. But I think they're a formidable player, and people should take them seriously. And I have a lot of respect for what they've done on science, and in some ways I think they've been thoughtful about the technology.
You're playing with fire when the people building it have a score called the PDOOM, which is the percentage chance that this ends in disaster. What's your PDOOM number?
Yeah, I really hate that term.
I know. But it's a good question for Blink reaction.
I definitely think between the autonomous danger of the model and kind of ending up on the bad side of some national security trade-offs and a kind of job thing that kind of goes in a very bad direction. I don't know. I'm relatively an optimist, so I think there's a 25% chance that things go really, really badly, and a 75% chance that things go really, really well with not much space.
Same number?
Between.
The 25% chance is a choice that we make, and it's a choice that we make in policy. So I'm here trying to push that number way down by talking to policymakers, and so is Dario.
It's a dynamic number. I hope that every time we say something, the number goes down, hopefully down, not up.
All right.
Who is the fellow with the resonant, mellifluous British voice? Who is that guy?
Oh, that is. I'll pull his name up. Jack Clark.
That's Jack Clark.
That's Jack Clark. So he is also from Anthropic, doing a lot of the policy work. I don't remember everything about his history, but he is one of these prolific guys that's been in AI for a while. Now, I was surprised by 25%, but he was lumping several things together, right? So it's not a model going rogue. It is national security, AI versus AI type stuff, maybe some of the surveillance society stuff pulled in. He was also talking about job displacement and economic fallout. So he's talking more about mass disruption as well as potential mass destruction. And I think that's key to point out. And it's also, I think, like Jack was talking about, a lot of those come down to policy and things that are going on in DC and other areas around the world.
I mean, I think my personal PDOOM has come down, specifically the idea that a rogue model would be the thing. I feel like that is no longer something I consider as a very likely possibility.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's much more likely that humans, something we people do that is not the result of a model autonomously doing anything, would be the cause for some kind of a doom that would be measured in P.
Yeah. I think that one of the things we're going to see is just stupid use cases that are out of control. It's like, somebody wearing their meta glasses and making the wrong turn because the system is wrong or confused. We're also going to have if you remember back several years ago, the stupid things that were going on with Pokemon Go. It's like people looking at their screen and accidentally walking into swimming pools and dying.
Yes.
I think that there's stupid stuff like that that's on the horizon. And people have to think about like all aspects of safety and the fact that us humans, we tend to like filter out the world around us and just not really see what's going on when given the chance. And that is across several different things. That's not just eyes on screen. That is, we typically focus on the thing that's in front of us and forget about the reality that's external to that. And so we're going to forget about a whole bunch of ancillary ripple effects that can happen anytime we deploy technology.
And I think, like they mentioned, talking to legislators and policymakers, that is, we need people who aren't in search of special government treatment and deals to be doing that and writing laws and rules and regulations around these kinds of things to help prevent that. I don't know. I'm not on the super up and up. Actually, listener, if you are on the up and up about sort of legal action around AI regulation in any sort of big capacity, you should reach out to us.
Well, two things related to that right before we finish off. Anthropic is one of the companies, I believe maybe the only major AI company, that has said one of the ways to deal with like job displacement, and if we end up needing to come up with some kind of universal basic income, which it's weird to hear people talk about that in the U.S. because typically people, a lot of people are against that kind of thing. But I think the realization is starting to tamper in even within like the current administration, which is weird to hear. But one of the ways that Anthropic is saying that should happen is that you should tax the heck out of the frontier model providers, that they should actually pay in to that because they're the ones that are causing the disruption, or they're the ones that are causing the use of power. And Mark Kelly, who is also there, he's a Democratic senator, I believe, from Arizona, former astronaut, is advancing legislation, essentially trying to push for that kind of thing. It's like that if most of the power is being used by model providers doing inference or training models, well, that increase of use of power shouldn't be passed down to customers and small and medium businesses. It should be owned by the people that are actually using that at that level and causing all this new infrastructure to have to be built. So they're trying to find ways to rationalize the disparity that's coming.
I mean, I tend to wholeheartedly agree with that. The topic of job loss, I know we're out of time, could occupy its entire own segment, because I feel like that was another thing similar to like a rogue AI that at the outset, when things were all much more exciting, felt to me something that may be more imminent. But I really have a lot of doubts about AI coming for many jobs very much in the near future. I don't think that is going to happen.
I think there's some effects that we're seeing, like early stage coders. There's not near as the demand for that. There are people that are much more experienced that are managing like teams of AIs essentially. So I do think that there are some segments that are going to be impacted, but people that can retool and figure out how to think and use the tools that are at their fingertips should be able to find some place, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, I should be clear. I was talking about the sweeping, like broad scope job loss that some of the founders talk about, and which typically leads into the conversations about UBI, which personally I think we should have anyway, but that's a different show.
I will, God, I hate to keep adding one more thing. But on the potential for, just because I don't want people to think that we're ignoring some of what's going on. I think there was an announcement from Salesforce.com that they had like 9,000 sales development reps or customer service reps, and they went down to like 5,000 because they could automate the jobs of those other 4. So there's some near-term disruption. I think many companies that are in growth mode are not going to have to fire people. They're just going to be able to say, we don't need to hire as many people next year. So if you're looking on the bright side of that, it's the reduction of having to hire versus like needing to riff 4,000 people.
I mean, that does directly fly in the face of my notion before that it wasn't really a thing. I mean, I guess it is really a thing. We should do a segment about it. I want to look into it more.
Yeah, we should dive into it, because I think there's upsides and downsides in all these tools and technology, and the way that companies are trying to deal with the spot that we're in right now.
I just feel like it's a universal constant at the moment that most of the companies that have pivoted to a big AI first thing, kind of their service quality drops significantly. Thinking of Duolingo.
Duolingo did that wrong.
Yeah, and I don't really know about Salesforce enough to speculate on that, but I can only imagine that those customer service, the customers looking for service are probably not having as good of a time.
I think we should look at it, because some of the numbers that I'm seeing, of course, they can spin that. But Salesforce is a deep technology company that's been around for a while. When they talk about like LLM use, they understand that there's, an LLM is not going to give you consistent results. It's going to be very non-deterministic. And so they're trying to figure out, and they have figured out in a lot of ways to account for the fact that there's this non-deterministic LLM that provides value, but then there's traditional deterministic scaffolding that you can put around it, and then multiple agents that can kind of be roving across the ecosystem to figure out like what expert system do I push this query into so it gets the best possible result. So way more thoughtful and nuanced about how they deploy the technology than most. And so I think that they can be generally way more successful than like a Duolingo.
That is vastly interesting. I did not know any of that. We should see if we can get someone from Salesforce who is able and willing to talk about that with us. And if not, we should just do a segment diving into what is available, because I'd be really curious to learn more about that.
Yeah, they've been pretty open about it. I'll reach out and see if we can get somebody.
That would be killer. So we should wrap, because we have gone double length over the segment on this one.
Right.
Thanks for joining us this week on the FAIK Files. I hope any audio and visual glitches that you may have noticed were passable and that you are not wholly offended. If so, please reach out hello@eighthlayermedia.com to tell us just how offended you are about those glitches. Otherwise, reach out, sell us something nice, share stories with us. Join our Discord. There is a link in the show notes. Someone on YouTube, who I should have written their name down to shout them out, pointed out that our link was wrong on YouTube for the Discord for all of our videos. So I meticulously went through and replaced it in almost all of them. I think like the past 100 videos.
That had to be fun.
Yeah, it was an afternoon. I just drank some tea, listened to a podcast, and copy pasted the right link in. But you should join that Discord using that freshly pasted link. Perry, you got anything to plug?
I do, actually. So myself and Cameron Malin, who a former FBI behavioral profiler and person who co-built the cyber behavioral profiling area of the FBI, we're running a course on Maven, maven.com. And it's called Deepfake Ops. Let me get the right title. Deepfake Ops, Learn, Evolve, and Defend, a bootcamp for awareness and cognitive warfare where you can craft deepfakes, deconstruct deception, and sharpen your insights against digital mind games.
Oh, wicked cool.
We'll put the link for that in the show notes.
Yeah, so that's like an interactive course about all of those things.
Yep.
You actually make deepfakes in it?
5-day course. Yeah, we'll have everybody making deepfakes 2 hours a day, 5 days over the span of a week. It's the last week in October.
Awesome. Sweet. So check out that link in the show notes. Also, buy the book FAIK. And I think that's the last thing on the list to check off for plugs.
Should be.
Sweet. So
Should be.
We will catch you next Friday. And until then, ignore all previous instructions and have yourself a great weekend.